Hello, this is Professor Johnson. I trust that you are doing well today. I wanted to just take a moment to better understand how everyone's doing, how you're progressing with this course. On the last test, the class average is about an 88. And our next quiz will be Sunday. I'll open that at 12 noon. And it will remain open until 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. Please take the time to study. While many of you are doing well, see that some students appear to not be reading the materials or viewing the videos or whatever materials we may have. You should be spending an hour a day, at least an hour a day, studying the textbook, reviewing the slides. If you do that, you will get an A in this class. Really focus. It's really time to focus and also communicate. I sent out a message last week and said, if you'd like to meet with me, I'm more than willing to do that. A number of you have, we will have those meetings tomorrow, start meeting with some of those students tomorrow. If you would like to meet with me, and I'd like to meet with each and every one of you, contact me, let me know, send me an email with several times that you are available, and we'll get it set up, okay? I look forward to it. Now let's get into our review. Today's message or today's slide will focus on chapters 7 through 11. Let me bring this up for you. Get rid of these subtitles. So again, the quiz will be available on Sunday, 12 noon till 11:59 p.m. It's important, again, as I stated before, to review your notes, your textbook, and other slides, these slides and other slides. But I'm going to provide you with some complimentary study slides and discussion points to prepare you for Sunday's quiz. It's very important too that in marketing and some of these other base foundational courses, it's more than necessary to know the material, because some materials may be just looking for you to pass a class. In this particular class, though, you will actually have information that you'll be able to utilize in your lives day in and day out, even if you don't plan to pursue a marketing career. Please take the time to review the materials that we've talked about. Take it to heart, study it, and know it. So, as we have a number of different topics, a number of different thoughts that I'd like to share with you today. First of all, we have business to business and business to consumer. B2B is the type of business I was involved in when I was with IBM and Hitachi. I sold my solutions to companies like Spectrum, to TIAA-CREF, to organizations like that. And it's B2B. B2C is a company that sells directly to consumers. For instance, Walmart, Target, etc. They sell their products directly to consumers. Another section of their business may be a B2B, where they're procuring their products from their suppliers, but the section I'm talking about now is the B2C. And so consumer products and business products, again, it really depends on how the products will be used. That's how they will be labeled. Consumer product obviously will be utilized for household use, business products for the operations of the business. I have a question for you. Could a consumer product be a business product and vice versa? What do you think? Actually, it could be. Imagine you take a look at a broom, let's say a broom. Target may sell those brooms directly to consumers. You walk over to aisle 47A or whatever it is and select a broom to your liking. But also there are B2B scenarios where the brooms are being sold. High Point University may contact an organization like Grainger, who's an intermediary, and they may order 800 brooms for the campus. So again, the same product that can be used in different purposes, but it's the end user it's the end product is what's going to designate if it's a consumer product or a business product. Again, the end usage for that transaction is going to determine whether it's a consumer product or a business product. That broom is a consumer product. if it's being sold by Target or Walmart. If they are securing the product from an intermediary or a reseller, they would use, it then becomes a business product. So read into your materials and review that. So, by the way, I'm going to share with you a number of topics here, but I expect you to go back, review the materials, go to ChatGPT if you like, use some other tools to just further research the topics that I am discussing today. Now, when we take a look at B2B businesses, B2B markets, I should say, it's all different types. Resellers, as I just mentioned, Walmart, Target, and other organizations, rather than going out and trying to go out to broom manufacturers all over the world and trying to get the best price, they typically would utilize a reseller. And so that reseller is going to actually communicate with all the broom manufacturers. They will have them in one site. And since they've ordered a lot, I can get a good price there. I'm going to go and utilize my reseller as opposed to me going out and communicating, trying to get a good price from all these different resellers, from all these other manufacturers that are out there. Or if I don't want to go through a reseller, I can just directly go to the manufacturer myself. The problem with that is that it takes time. I've got to research the company. I've got to research the reviews, etc. And if I go through a reseller, if I have a problem, I can just go directly to them. If it's a manufacturing problem, if I'm going directly to the manufacturer, it's not an issue. But again, I may have a lot of different manufacturers that I'm communicating with, and it could be problematic from a time standpoint. So we may have some of these other markets could be nonprofit. Maybe I'm working with a Goodwill or a Salvation Army or a school. Maybe I'm working with government or a services organization. These are all the different types of B2B markets that are out there. But when you're selling to a business, it's very different from a consumer. Consumer, oftentimes it's, I'm really playing to their emotion. I'm playing to their emotion. I'm also using impulse buying and a lot of other things like that. However, with businesses, it's a much more logical process. And many of the solutions that I sold at IBM and Hitachi were, like, for instance, when I was at Hitachi, my team, we were the first ones to ever exceed $100 million in sales. Great, right? But the thing is that it's a very different process than selling to consumers, because what I'd have to do is work with the group buying process or the buying department, if you will. And so at a company, typically what they're going to do is have a number of different decision participants from different departments, maybe from the technical team. Remember, I sold technical products, IT products. So individuals from the finance team would be there, the technical teams, some executives would be there, some end users, et cetera. So there's a lot of interaction because I need to ensure that my solution is providing satisfaction and meeting the needs and the wants and the desires of all these different departments. The finance team, they're primarily interested in the run rate, how this is going to impact our financial perspective. That's why a lot of companies today are using OpEx. OpEx means that I'm going to take maybe a $5 million acquisition and I'll actually lease it over a period of time, because then I have a renewal. I actually know what my monthly expense run will be, and it's not such a big bite out of my budget. However, some individuals may say, I have $5 million, I want to spend that today. Depends, but most organizations today will try to lease because, again, it's a very efficient way to run their business. But when you're focused on those businesses, you have to think about it. When I was working with Spectrum, by the way, when I was working with them, it wasn't Spectrum, it was Time Warner. But at any rate, let's say Spectrum or Time Warner, if I'm selling them, they actually have fewer buyers in that market. And it's interesting. So those buyers may be fewer, but they're larger. So if I'm selling to consumers, I may sell a lot, but the price point may be low. Maybe it's $50 and I need to sell 1,000 of them, or 100 or 10,000 or 30,000, whatever it is, right? However, if I'm working with a Time Warner, they're not working. They are, if it's time for them to renew their IT infrastructure or components therein, they will focus. If you think about it, there's only a number, there's a finite number of competitors that can address that market. EMC, which is now Dell, IBM, Hitachi, right? And a number of other companies that have since cropped up since I was in the market. Fewer but larger buyers. So I'm going in working with Spectrum or Time Warner Cable, but my solution may be $500,000 as opposed to that $50 consumer purchase. And we'll talk about some of these other items as we move forward. I need you to go in and know each of these areas. What is derived demand and elastic demand, etc. You need to focus on that, right? Derived demand is just that. Most of the products that we sell today a lot of them are the result of derived demand. If I'm selling oil, or the price of oil, it's really derived demand because the price is really dependent upon the demand for gasoline, diesel fuel, and other things of that sort. And so if there was a lessened demand for gasoline, the price of oil will plummet. So that's something to think about. But anyway, derived demand. And demand is price inelastic, which means that in my situation, if I'm selling this $5 million solution, if that solution then becomes $525,000 or $475,000, it's really not going to move the needle that much. And consumers will still purchase my product. Systems buying. Today, many customers, especially in IT and other locations, they want to pursue a system buying or wholesale process, not a wholesale, but a system buying process. And we should call it in IT, this is my term, so don't get upset by it. But it's called one throat to choke. One throat to choke, right? What is that? What does that mean? Well, it means this. In MySpace, and I'll continually refer back to MySpace because I'm really familiar with it. In IT, the IT department may purchase a solution from me or from a vendor, and let's say it includes disk systems or storage systems, disk systems, processors. It includes infrastructure, hardware, networking, power. It includes a lot of different aspects. Well, if you've actually contracted with all those vendors, what's going to happen if a piece of equipment hiccups? Well, the software company is going to come out and say, it's not mine, it's the hardware guy. And the hardware guy is going to come out and look at it. And then they're going to say, it's not ours, it's the network guy. And then the network person is going to say, it's not ours, it's someone else, right? And so that can be very frustrating, time consuming, and detrimental to a business. So some companies today, they're coming in and their business model is about the fact that they can procure all those products for you. And then if there is a misstep, they go to that one vendor. And that one vendor then will communicate with the hardware, software, networking, sub-storage, all those different individuals, those different companies to ensure that the solution is corrected efficiently. Otherwise, it can be a nightmare as everyone's blaming everyone else, and it can just prolong itself. Instead of that, they're saying, I want one throat to choke, and that's what's occurring today. So it allows the customer then to have one vendor that they are procuring all those products from. It works out well for everyone. And some of the individuals in the buying center or the purchasing department that we mentioned before, they go through that buying process. Again, I highlighted some things here. It's up to you to go back and understand what all these things mean. But let me tell you this, members of the buying center, it includes, typically I would have members of maybe the end users, the people that will be using the system on a day in and day out basis. Maybe they may be in the business department, they may be accountants, whatever it might be. They are day in and day out users. Maybe we have initiators, people that there's a team or a department that decided they'd like to have this equipment. I also need to find out who the influencers are within the organization as well, because I want to ensure that they are approving of the design that I've captured for them. Gatekeepers are amazing, but gatekeepers are individuals that their job is to really ward off unwanted contact. If I'm an executive at a company, I may have a secretary, receptionist, and he or she, their job is, I'll tell them I don't want to speak with anyone today. And their job then, but your job is to communicate and try to contact me today. Their job is to keep you out. So gatekeeper. And there are different ways that you can effectively get around gatekeepers. We could talk about that at another time. Then we have the buyers and the deciders, the VPs that are going to sign the checks, et cetera. So it's not just one person that we're communicating with. This buying team, or this buying center, is comprised of a lot of different individuals and from all aspects within the organization. Hopefully that makes sense. Go back, review your slides so that you have a better idea of exactly what's going on here. And also, when I'm selling to these companies, during our first sale, it's going to be a very intricate sale, one where the decision process for the buying department is going to be intimately involved as they're testing my solution. I've made promises to them. They're going to test those promises. They want to ensure that the system does everything that I said it would do. Then for follow-on buys, what's going to happen is a number of different things that can occur. First of all, I've sold them a $5 million solution, and it's been tested. It's working well. Now they'd like to purchase another solution from me. It could be a straight rebuy. They're just saying, Ray, I'd like to order the same exact system we had before. If you think about it, the purchasing department will probably be engaged, but not as engaged before, because they've tested the solution, they know it works, it provides the value that I promised them it would provide. So it's much easier to pursue a straight rebuy. That's why it's important to maintain strong relationships with their customers. If I have a strong relationship, if they understand me, I understand them, and then when it's time for an upgrade or another purchase, they're going to call me. Obviously, I should be contacting them on a regular basis, staying in contact with them. And maybe it's a straight rebuy with the same thing we had before. Second is a modified rebuy, just like before, but we have a few changes we'd like to make. And then maybe there's a new task. So read up on these things so that you know what's going on with these. So I want you to, this is just some ideas for you to think about. And then when an organization is thinking about making a decision, this is the first thing. Remember, in all decisions, all activities, the first thing you would always have to do is, what is the problem? They must define the problem. So in this scenario, the customer must recognize that there is a problem that they need to address. The problem could be, it could be anything. It could be them spending, maybe their transactions are slowing up, maybe their customers aren't able to access their system, maybe it's inaccessible at times, whatever it is. So they have to recognize what are the problems they're trying to solve. They need to understand what are the critical needs and the product specifications of all the vendors. They'll then send out, it's called either an RFP, request for a proposal, to contact a lot of quality vendors and tell them this is the problem, this is the issue, these are the speeds, the specifications that we need. And then once they submit those proposals to the company, they'll then take a look at the bids and they'll actually analyze them. They'll determine the appropriate purchase protocol, and then they'll have typically a post-purchase review. Read through those materials, my friends. And again, these slides are all taken from chapters 7 through 11. So product, let's talk about product itself. So product, again, it represents the good or service, the goods or service that's around them. Okay, and so just be aware that, as I said before, when you're looking at purchasing solutions, oftentimes leasing provides a lower monthly run rate, lower expense run rate. So again, if I have that solution that I mentioned before, it's $5 million. I can give, the vendor can. The company can pay the vendor $5 million up front, or maybe I'd like to take that $5 million acquisition and spread it out over 60 months or 5 years. Same thing with a vehicle. Maybe you don't want to spend $100,000 for a brand new Tesla. So what you can do instead is lease that Tesla over a 5 or 6 year period for a lower run rate. Same concept. But if we have a product, the more reliable it is, the better its functionality. Typically, that means that we can charge a higher price. And then when you get that balance just right, and the price is right, the value is right, and the customer's mind are saying, Now that's a good deal. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to. Um, that's what we need to craft, and that's what marketing is all about. That's why you'll see some individuals, they may look at an Hermes bag and they'll take a look at that bag and they'll say, that's a really good deal, right? But the bag's $30,000. And maybe the bag normally sold for $33,000, but they found it for $30,000. In their mind, it's a good deal. So in marketing, we may be marketing different products, but our job is to convince consumers that the value that they're seeking in this product is there, right? We're providing customer value. So the strategy that we craft as a company is focused on customer value. How do you create value for a $35,000, $33,000 bag? How do you do it? Or let's say, or so let's just say that. Let's just stick with the $30,000 or $35,000 bag. Well, one of the things you may want to do is put it in the arms of Taylor Swift or Beyonce or whomever your star is, right? Or maybe someone in the news, maybe Meryl Streep or whatever it is. They see those bags, they see their stars wearing those bags or carrying those bags, and as a result of that, they want them as well. So it's very important that our strategy creates customer value in the customer's mind. And it's very important when we craft a product or bring a product to market that we differentiate our product, right? If you come into a market that's already, that has a number of products already, and your product isn't differentiated, it becomes a commodity. And a commodity can be a very dangerous thing. Why do you think that might be? It's really because as a manufacturer or a farmer, if I don't differentiate my products, consumers will be then trained to compete on price or purchase on price. And that's the worst thing, because remember, I'm in business to make money. I'm in business to create profits. So if I'm competing on price alone, I'm always depleting my profits. So that can be problematic. For instance, I need to have let's say a commoditized product. How do I differentiate it? Let's say I had orange juice. How would you differentiate, let's say, the entire class for orange juice manufacturers? How do you differentiate your orange juice from someone else's? It's really orange juice, right? How do you do that? How do you make someone want to purchase your orange juice over one of your peers? What do you do? Pretty easy. What you do is you're going to differentiate your product. Mine was fresh squeezed. It's not from concentrate, grown in Florida, no pesticides. It's organic. It has no pulp, lots of pulp. I've added vitamin C. I've added whatever it is. Those are different ways that we can differentiate a product. Same thing is true. Milk, right? Maybe it's organic milk, or perhaps it's low fat, it's skim, whatever it might be, right? Or now, I'm not a big fan of cow milk, so perhaps we're going to utilize almond milk, oat milk, hemp milk, whatever it might be. We want to differentiate our products so it does not become commodity. Commoditized products are really tough. And again, it competes on price. Matter of fact, even when I was with IBM and Hitachi, they realized that. They said that hardware, so if you're selling printers, if you're selling, just the actual hardware itself, that can become a commoditized product. So they differentiated themselves by offering services. We have a team of individuals that will come in and deploy your solution effortlessly, such that they'll transfer you from your old system to your new system with very little headaches, really no headaches. And if I'm selling B2B, you think about it, I could be selling raw materials. If I'm Volkswagen and I am communicating with a company, I may be purchasing raw materials. Maybe it's the plastics for the fender. Perhaps it's the sheet metal for the hood or the trunk or the boot. component parts, all these different things I may purchase as a company, because what I want to do is focus on those products, and then I'm going to use that form utility such that I'm going to take all these different components and create a vehicle. B2C, business to consumers. So we're selling to consumers, to you, right? So we may have a convenience sale. We could have convenience means just going in real quick. It could be a 7-Eleven, a mom and pop corner store, whatever it might be. Convenience store. It could be shopping. Maybe I'm looking for tires or something of that sort. Maybe it's a specialty, B2C. I collect fountain pens, so often I'm working with specialty retailers that sell high-end fountain pens. Or maybe it is also unsolved. And in unsolved, I need you to go back and review all these items in your notes in the text. But an unsolved opportunity is, let's say that you parked your vehicle in the wrong location and you left it there for 3 weeks and you received a ticket. Well, that was unsolved. You didn't believe it, but that was unsolved. Or maybe it was perhaps it was life insurance. Or let's say everything's going fine, and unfortunately you have someone within your sphere of influence has passed away, a transition. In that scenario, the unsolved need there is maybe the casket, flowers, those types of things. So read up, you should know what these are. And also, to a marketer, it makes more sense to look at how consumers shop and use those items. We want to identify target markets, segment those markets effectively, and then at that point, what we need to do is that at that point, through our primary and secondary research, we have a pretty good idea of how this particular segment purchases products, how they think, what they want, what their needs are. Because I can do that now, I can I'll use some of these terms. I might use usage groups. I may sell through complementary products. So therefore, let's say if I have going into Sephora, and maybe I wanted someone wanted some lip, I don't know what you call it, lip eyeliner or whatever, and then maybe the company was trying to push rouge as well. So they have a complementary. If you buy this, if you purchase the eyeliner, you will also receive the blush or rouge or whatever it's called, right? And substitute products are also something that marketers are aware of. Those are substitute products from selling apples, right? Maybe there's a problem with our apple production, and then I may find that I can use Asian pears, which look like apples, or maybe I can use pears themselves or some other product because I can substitute it. Read this material, please. Now, a very important item here is the product life cycle. All products go through product life cycles. And if you think about products today, some are in the middle of this, and some have completed their decline already. But all products will actually venture through an introduction phase, a growth phase, a maturation phase, and also a declination or decline phase. And there's no time limit. There's no time frame when this occurs, but this is what it looks like. So all products go through this. If you think about this, think about VHS players. I know you guys have probably never seen one, but a VHS player, VHS was a way to record shows or watch movies or whatever it might be. Later, it's replaced by DVDs, which is also has declined. But at any rate, if you think about the beginning, I'll just use DVDs. The first time I saw the term DVD, I was in China. It was in 1996. DVDs had not reached the United States yet, but they were growing. They were in the growth phase, and they were in the growth phase in AP or Asia Pacific. So at that time, they're all products. Let's look at this. So if you think about it during the introduction phase, typically what's happening, we're just trying to get the word out. We're going to have a lot of advertisement. And then what happens also is that our profits are really plummeting. And that's why a lot of these companies that you read about today that are the darlings of many companies, They may have great sales, but many of them, the profits, they haven't even had any profits yet. And that's because the sales haven't created that opportunity yet. But the main thing here is that I want you to understand, research deep to these areas. Introduction. I'm going to be spending more money on advertising. I'm going to be spending more time gaining customer awareness. So our profits will plummet. And then during the growth phase, we actually, more individuals will come into the market, will enter the market, and then our profits will also begin to increase during that time frame. Then we'll have the profits during the maturation phase, and then during the decline phase, profits and sales both diminish. So where do you think EVs are today? Electrical vehicles. I would be willing to guess that they're at the beginning of the growth phase, end of the introduction, beginning of the growth phase. And that's because now we're finding additional entrants into the market. We're finding profits are beginning. We have companies that we've never heard of. As I said, there's a company named BYD, Build Your Dreams, out of China. This company has a $30,000 EV or electrical vehicle that is much better than Teslas that are selling for $50,000 or $60,000 or $70,000. But anyway, that's has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. But introduction phase, growth phase, maturation phase, decline. VHS again, back in the, or let's say DVD, back in the early 2000s, started being introduced here in the United States. A lot of growth, a lot of films and things of that sort that you could find. Then it went to a maturation phase, and now most people aren't using DVDs. There was a time when all PCs included a DVD drive. You'd be hard pressed to find that today because everyone's just downloading. So the market's changed. But again, this is a product life cycle, and all products are in there. So if you think about this, as I said, EVs or electric vehicles are probably at the late introduction, early growth phase. And if you take a look at gasoline vehicles, where are they today in this? I'd argue that they're probably at the line of maturation and decline, if not past that line. And that's because, as we view this, obviously, there are many individuals that believe that if you take a look at Ford has stated that the only traditional gasoline vehicle that they plan to produce from a passenger vehicle is the Mustang. So the Probe, the Focus, all these other vehicles that they manufactured that were gas propelled, will no longer be produced. And they believe that EVs will be the next wave. So with that in mind, there is a decline. There's a decline in interest, there's a decline in marketing efforts, decline in manufacturing in gasoline vehicles. Really interesting what's going on now. You mentioned EVs. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a $1.2 billion Toyota EV battery plant that's being manufactured or being constructed in southeast Greensboro. A lot of this is very interesting times. And so the products that we sell, they can be a good. Remember, good is a tangible thing, or it could be an intangible. Services are typically intangible. And I want you to go back and review these. But essentially, it's saying that intangible means I really can't touch it, right? Service could be a hospital visit, a doctor visit, could be lawn care, salon, whatever it is. Inseparable means that you really can't separate the product from the service, so you have to consider them as a whole. Variable just means it could be changing. Perishable means that service could be perishable. But again, I want you to go back and review those. The market has changed somewhat. Consumers have changed also, because now with Gen Z, Gen A, millennials, etc., they're finding that individuals, consumers, are interested in products that promote general good. Tom's shoes, I don't know if you've heard of them or not, but every Tom's shoe that you purchase, they will give away a pair to someone in a needy country. There's a company called Bombas, Bombas, great running sock. It's a great running sock. But the thing about that is that you purchase a sock from them. They're very good, but stock maybe $18 to $25, but they will actually then give away 2 pair to an underserved community. So cause related. Just remember that cause related. Individuals today want to be involved with products that are indeed cause related. I'm going to stop this now, and I'm going to break this up into 2 slides or 2 sets of slides. So with that, I'm going to stop right now, and we're going to rejoin in just a moment.